Alright, so today I'm going to cover a complete guide to completing the Klaw Raid, the Discordant Sound Raid, and Marvel's Avengers that just came out. This is going to be a lot of information, so I'm just going to try to get into it as fast as possible, and I'm trying to keep it as short as possible while also explaining everything that needs to be explained. So if you enjoyed this video today, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. So first, you'll start out in this beginning outside area where the only objective is to defeat all of the enemies. Currently, sometimes this can glitch so that no enemies spawn, so if this is the case, just reload the checkpoint, but this is extremely self-explanatory. Immediately after you kill all the enemies and get let inside, you'll be immediately faced with a mini-boss fight against the giant spider, and this honestly is not that bad. All it will do is it will summon spider minions at certain health thresholds, so like I think a fourth of the bar depending on how fast it takes you to get it down. The giant spider will want to run away and summon mini spiders that you have to fight and kill, and then he'll come back. So obviously just keep on hitting the thresholds and rinse repeat until you beat the boss, but the mini boss is not that bad. So after defeating the mini boss, you'll be at the first puzzle. In order to complete this puzzle, you must have pretty good communication, or at least everybody has to be on the same page as to who does what. There will be 3 objective points that need to be quote-unquote captured in a sense, and they need to be held or defended from the oncoming enemies. When all 3 spots are captured, someone must be in the middle platform to press all 3 buttons to create a force field to reflect Klaw's sonic attack back at the sonic wall, blocking your progression. You must repeat this entire process 3 times in total to proceed, and be careful as well, because if one person leaves their capture point, it will start to decrease in its integrity and could make it so the buttons cannot be pressed again until the point is recaptured. 4 people are more than likely required for this puzzle, although 3 people might be able to do it. Regardless of that though, there are puzzles beyond this that are impossible to complete without 4 people. So 4 people are basically needed for this raid, at least up until the boss. With that being said as well, during this puzzle, you'll be introduced to Klaw's Sonic Blast, which is a team wipe mechanic that you can tell is coming because the area will start to glow bright pink. When this happens, you just need to get behind cover like a wall or something that's casting a big shadow that tells you that it's cover that is going to save you. You need to hide behind cover while he does the blast, otherwise it'll wipe the entire team and it'll instantly kill you. After repeating that puzzle 3 times, the sonic wall will dissipate and allow you to proceed. At this point, you can choose to either tackle the puzzles to the left first or the puzzles to the right first, where the order doesn't really matter too much. I'm going to start by explaining the left one first. So when you start to go to the left, kind of left forward-ish, you will see multiple platforms to go across to get to the other side of this big open area. Now, unfortunately, I don't have footage of this next specific mini puzzle because if you have all flying characters, you can actually bypass this mini puzzle to begin with, although the puzzle isn't that bad in my opinion, because if you have all flying characters, you can just fly to the other side of the far platform. So what this mini puzzle is, so there are other capture points on these floating platforms that by capturing them either allow the floating platforms to appear or to remove a one-hit kill mechanic from the Sonic platforms. The one-hit kill mechanic being kind of like a misty teal turquoise type mist that if you try to jump on a platform that has that is going to kill you. So the purpose of this puzzle is for people who can't fly to cross this big open area to the other side. So you don't need to capture all the points that are there simultaneously. You basically more or less need to do it one at a time. So you capture the first point and it should reveal some floating platforms so they can get across. Then the second point should do the same along with dissipating some mist if there is some, and so on. So you just need to basically do it one at a time until the last one, where 2 points need to be captured simultaneously. 1 point will create floating platforms that leads up to this high floating platform, and then the second point that's captured will dissipate the mist on that high floating platform so they can survive. And then there's a button that's pressed on that, so that reveals floating platforms as well for them to finish crossing to the other side. So you will need to accomplish all of this while fending off enemies and avoiding Klaw's team wipe sonic attack. So once everyone is on the other side, you simply gotta defeat all the enemies on this platform while avoiding Klaw's attack, and once all the enemies are dealt with, the 4 switches next to the door are able to be interacted with. So this puzzle is pretty simple, except all 4 buttons need to be pressed at the exact same time. So obviously it's simple, but it does require good communication, although there is very slight leeway if someone starts very slightly early or very slightly late. In the next room, there are a bunch of huge corrupted vibranium veins. While in this room, the veins must be destroyed while also protecting the middle, although the veins are shielded from normal attacks. So there are also capture points in this room as well. When a point is captured, it opens a door to the outside hallway. So one of the players needs to go outside in this hallway to grab this buff that's referred to as anti-metal, which allows attacks to be done to the corrupted vibranium veins. However, the corrupted vibranium veins regenerate health over time. So what needs to be happen is when you go to destroy them with the anti-metal buff, you need to continuously attack them and keep their HP at 0. Once the person's anti-metal buff wears out after about a minute and a half, Shuri releases a sonic blast that finishes off the veins whose HP is as close to 0 as possible. People who are also in close proximity to the anti-metal user also receive the anti-metal buff, allowing multiple people to destroy the veins. Once the anti-metal runs out, just go back into the hallway to grab it again and repeat this process until all the veins are destroyed, but make sure to protect the middle as well, or else you will fail. After this room is completed, you will be sent back outside to after you completed the first puzzle, where you could either go left or right. Obviously this time now you're going to go to the right puzzles. The series of next puzzles are pretty easy. You basically have to leapfrog on switches to hold the doors open for each other. The first person stands on the switch for the first door, everybody else runs in and stands on the new switches to hold the door open for the last person, and so on. In my opinion, the only time this gets complicated is the very last door that needs to be opened, where the 4 people will basically have to span across 3 rooms. 2 people will be on the switches in the very last room, 1 person will be on the furthest switch in the room before that, and 1 person will be on the switch in the room before that. Once the final door is open, the person that was on the furthest switch away from the final door has to run through the door first and then step on the switch on the other side to hold the door open for everyone else. If you're ever stuck at any of these switch puzzles in this little long stretch of hallway, there are symbols on the wall that show which switches are being activated at the present moment and which person is the one that is allowed to leave their switch and go through the door once it is open to hold the door open for everyone else. Because once you get to the doors where 3 or 4 people have to stand on multiple switches to hold the door open, once the door is fully open, only one of those people are allowed to leave their switch to go through that new door to step on the new switch on the other side. So the symbols on the wall can show which person is allowed to leave their switch. But in my opinion, only the last set of switches is the ones that are hard. So this next room is similar to the one before, where you must just defeat all the enemies and then press all 4 buttons at the same time to activate the elevator to the next area. And obviously the buttons will be able to be pressed once all the enemies in the room are defeated, so just make sure to do that first. This next room is the final puzzle before the boss fight, and it can seem pretty complicated, but it's not that bad at its roots. So in the center of this big room, there is an area at the very bottom and at the very top. There are also symbols on the sides of this spinning contraption that is in the middle of the area. Someone needs to capture the point at the very bottom of this contraption, and they will see a symbol that needs to be destroyed to tell the other teammates. I kind of said that confusing. So someone captures a point at the very bottom, and a symbol is revealed to them, and that teammate needs to tell what symbol it is to the other teammates. So capturing this point will also dispel the one-hit kind of teal mist that's at the very top that the other teammates need to go to. So the other teammates then need to go to the very top, where there is a force field with the symbols inside corresponding to kind of like a charging station of sorts. Whatever the symbol is, you have to charge the charging station attached to the symbol, and this can be done just by hitting it to fill up its bar, which will make the same symbol on the side of the contraption extend outward and reveal corrupted vibranium veins. So you need to then destroy the corrupted vibranium veins, which, since these are the small ones, you don't need anti-metal or anything like that. You can just straight up destroy them. And then you have to repeat this process with the next symbol until all of the corrupted vibranium veins underneath all the symbols are destroyed. So obviously this is just a rinse and repeat process. And now after you complete this puzzle, it's time to fight Klaw. So Klaw's boss fight has 2 parts. The first part is where you fight him as a giant, and the second one is where you'll fight him when he's shrunk. So when he's giant, the fight is pretty simple. Zarafari will be responsible for bringing his head down to your level, and he simply needs to recharge his power after doing this attack. So while Zarafari is recharging, defend the middle from enemies while avoiding Klaw's Sonic Blast that will instantly kill you. You can avoid these attacks by hiding behind the blue pillars, but not the red ones. So once Zarafari is recharged, he will bring Klaw's head down to you, where you then just unleash all the damage you can while his head is there. This will only last for a certain amount of time, though, and when Klaw's about to get up, you have to be careful because he will do his Sonic Blast as he gets up, so just be wary of it. This fight seems to me, at least, that it's time limited, but there should be plenty of time to kill him still. It seems like the longer you take, the more of the blue pillars become red, and therefore you can't hide behind them, and therefore eventually all of them will become red, and you'll be unable to avoid his one-hit Sonic Blast. So just, you should have plenty of time, though. I've had no problem with this step, time-wise. Once this is repeated until he is dead, you move on to the final fight against Small Klaw. So now you'll be teleported to an area kind of just to breathe for a second, maybe switch out gear if you want to. But when you're ready, open the door to face Klaw for the final time. He starts by turning the sky red and becoming giant again. He will shoot humongous blasts at you that are supposed to instantly kill you, but you should be able to see these coming, as it will highlight the platform floor that it's going to hit. So it'll highlight it a flashing red color. He will then smash the middle platform and send out sonic waves that must be avoided, and it's honestly, it seems, I mean, I haven't done this with a non-flying character, but it seems like it's difficult to deal with if you can't fly, but if you can, simply fly as high as you can and you can avoid it. I think if you don't fly, all you need to do is try to jump over each ring as it comes, so it might not be as bad, but it just seems like it's just more annoying. So after this is done, he then shrinks to a small size where you have to attack him, but you won't do any damage. Instead, you'll raise his stun bar, which you have to get to the very top to proceed to the next phase. Truth be told, I am all but positive that if you don't get his stun bar up, he's supposed to team wipe you, so you have to try again. However, me and my team were able to avoid this by spreading out as far as possible from each other and going out of bounds to avoid these attacks, so that basically right when they were about to hit us, well, number one, we would just avoid them because we would go so far out of bounds, but then number two, it would just reset us back to where the fight is being had without losing any health. So that's just the easiest way we found to avoid this. So if this happens, he will simply repeat his giant phase attacks again and then shrink again, so just finish off his stun bar to proceed to the next part. So when you get his stun bar to the max, the sky will return normal, although he still won't be susceptible to damage. Once this happens, at least one person needs to go through the doors that opened in the back, and you have to go all the way through these hallways in the very back to hold a circular position where it'll give you vibranium exposure that'll constantly deal very small damage to you as well, so be careful. But while someone is basically defending this vibranium exposure circle, everybody else has the anti-metal buff and is able to damage Klaw. So this person in the back will also have to defend themselves from enemies while doing this, so me and my team actually sent 2 people back there to do it just in case one went down, so everybody would still constantly have the anti-metal buff. So once about a fourth of Klaw's bar is depleted, he will revert back to the red sky state, where you must just repeat the process of getting his stun bar all the way up, and just, you have to keep on going. And I will say, however, this time, there will be enemies that you have to defeat going forward after you get him back to that red sky state after the first time. And what I think happens is these kind of portal things appear, and I can't necessarily confirm it 100%, but I'm pretty sure enemies come out of these sonic portals that he makes, but you can destroy the portals. So what I'm getting at is when you see these type of pink portals, I would do everything possible to destroy those as fast as you can, because this fight is a lot harder with a crap ton of enemies all around you trying to attack you while you're trying to focus on Klaw. So just do, as soon as the portals show up, destroy them as fast as possible. So you simply have to repeat the stun bar step along with the anti-metal step until you finally manage to kill him. And honestly, that wraps it up. That wraps up the entirety of the raid. The puzzles are not too bad. I will say, though, and I'm going to go into this more in another video, this raid is probably borderline impossible to do with completely randoms. Like, if all 4 people were randoms to each other and didn't know each other, this is almost impossible, but I'm going to go into that in another video. But overall, that completes my complete raid guide to the Klaw Raid. So if you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe for future Marvel content. Comment if you enjoyed this raid or if you were able to complete it or not, and I appreciate you for watching the video.